This is a steal for the Los Angeles Lakers as they have done it again. They pulled off a steal regarding a sharp shooting big man. I'm going to break down the new signing the Lakers have made, as well as discuss another signing that the Lakers have made, as well as they've made multiple moves following the draft. And folks, things are getting very interesting. We're going to break all of it down in this episode, as well as a few other updates, including one surrounding the recent second round pick. But before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage, you aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. We're pumping out daily videos for you all, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, folks. Ton to go over today. Let's not waste any more time. There is a lot of things to go over today, and let's quickly go over the signing that they just made, folks. The Lakers, and this is kind of just a brief, overview here. They have begun the offseason by not only what started as the 55th overall pick, they came away with Adu Thiero and Eric Dixon. They have signed Eric Dixon. If you're unfamiliar with him, a very interesting player, very intriguing name. Whether or not he'll, of course, whether or not he's actually going to be able to stick around in the NBA, we don't know yet. He is a sharp shooter, folks. They have signed him to a two-way contract per Shams Charania. And if you're unfamiliar with him, he's a power forward. He's a big guy. He is not very athletic. And we're going to, of course, again, we're going to go over the positives, negatives, all those things. But folks, the Lakers have added two-way player Eric Dixon. You see here from Shams, they agreed to a two-way NBA contract with the Lakers. Sources tell ESPN Dixon was the #1 scorer in college basketball last season, shooting 41% from three-point range. You read that correctly. He was the #1 scorer in college basketball, and they add him to alongside Trey Jemison and one other player who we will dive into in a moment here surrounding the Lakers. But boy, oh boy, is this one interesting. Now, there is, and I did some research on him before the video, but also, of course, before the draft. There is some, up and down. There's some negatives, of course, with Eric Dixon. The reason he didn't get drafted, of course, the reason is he's, not a fantastic athlete. Will he be able to hold up with the NBA? I don't really know. And this is the time of year where, of course, the Lakers go out and they grab a bunch of guys. But this player in particular is extremely interesting because, yes, his athleticism is there, but he averaged 23 points a game. He is a certified bucket. And if the Lakers think that they can, put their conditioning staff to use and just put everything to use and they can grab, the potential of Eric Dixon, which they did, and be able to turn that into a player that not only is, a guy who can score points, but actually score points at the NBA level, because that's, of course, going to be the biggest issue here is, will he be able to compete at the NBA level? Is it going to be something where he can actually go out and play defense as well? Because, of course, you need to be able, and that's a lot of the things with these undrafted guards, like a lot of small guys, a lot of guys who can score well. You go out, you get signed, you have great stats in college. The NBA level is, the athletes are just vastly different. That's why there's even some, busts, of course, across the NBA. But let's look at his stats, folks. Started off, and he has improved every year. He played the full 5 years in Villanova. He averaged 23 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and he shot a whopping 40.7% from three. Folks, truly you look at the stat line, and you put the player away for a second, you just look at the stat line. He is, if you literally just look at the box score, which you can't do because, of course, we look at some of his footage and things like that. He is an extremely good scorer. He is very skilled. He is very also, he has the ability to shoot the ball. However, folks, again, his defense is going to be something to withhold. Now, at the same time and in the same vein, he is such a talented guy that you take a flyer on this. You didn't give up any assets. You didn't even use a draft pick on him. And reports came out that the Lakers were targeting him with the 55th overall pick prior to, of course, trading up twice to get the 45th and then, of course, 36th. They traded twice to get those guys, but a very interesting athlete. And at the same time, they also signed RJ Davis. He is a former UNC star. He agreed to a contract with the Los Angeles Lakers. And there's just so many moves here happening around, but this is another interesting guy. Now, of course, a lot of these players, I think for me at least, Eric Dixon's a lot more interesting than, of course, than RJ Davis, just simply because of the fact that he has performed at the college level. And again, the difference between college and NBA is vast. The physicality is crazy. And it's always the guys who aren't uber athletes, aren't super good athletes, that tend to struggle with translating it over. But at the same time, of course, if you have the intangibles, you have the skill, you have the, ability to be a fantastic athlete, be a fantastic defender, you can and that's why players like, get drafted pretty early. Guys who can't really shoot. Even, the Lakers' recent, second round pick, who they literally just signed here, Adu Thiero, he is not a great shooter, right? 28% on less than one attempt a game, but he has such good physical attributes, tangible attributes that will be able to translate to the NBA regardless of how his shooting translates. And yes, shooting is extremely important, but being able to actually have those skills to translate, That's why you went with Aduthiero. But even getting Eric Dixon, like what has turned into the beginning of the day, the 55th overall pick, turned into Aduthiero, who was one of the highly, and you look at a bunch of different reports, Evan Sitteri, Brett Siegel saying coming into, and even a bunch of draft guys, coming into round 2 this evening, they had Aduthiero as the second or third best player remaining available. And there's a lot of guys who had Aduthiero a lot higher than that. Eric Dixon, he was projected to go with the late in the second round as well, simply because of his scoring abilities and his improved, shot. I mean, again, you look, he went from in his rookie year and sophomore year under 1 attempt a game all the way up to 7 3-pointers attempted a game. And if you're going to take a risk on it's not like a risk, you're going to take a flyer and, I guess to a degree, a risk on a guy who's not going to be, a great athlete, you want him to have one good strength, and that is a shooter. And boy, oh boy, is that what he is, which is very, very exciting. You see up top, 6'8", 265, number 1 scorer in college basketball last season. Welcome to the Lakers, Eric Dixon. He scored 20-plus points in 13 of 14 games last season, averaging 26.3 points per game in the Big East. He was if you would follow him along, again, the conditioning is an issue. Can he keep up defensively in the NBA? Like, probably not, but his stats don't lie, and his shooting is off the charts. And if he can translate that, maybe be some sort of backup big in the future, like if he ends up being a role player, that's of course the goal you're hoping here with these free agent undrafted signings. So, folks, it is a crazy time. And I know a lot of people also are down on this signing just because, if you paid attention to it, like his defense is an issue. His athleticism is an issue, and people are saying it won't play in the NBA. It's very possible. But we know if you've been Lakers fans or been Lakers fans for a while, the Lakers sign everybody when it comes to these, undrafted guys, and hoping that one hits. And I truly believe that this one has the potential to be one we talk about in a couple of years' time if he can get into shape and really take advantage of these NBA coaches. Again, he shot high volume for Villanova, 23 points a game. He's not in fantastic shape, but he shoots 40% from 3, and he can use some of that strength and hopefully, make an impact there. It's going to be a fun summer league, especially paired with, RJ Davis, who's another interesting, intriguing name. And again, it's at the point now where you're not only, hoping for not necessarily lottery tickets, but, decent players. You sign a guy in RJ Davis who was coming off a season where, he averaged 15 a game. The year before, though, last year, I guess the last, so 2 years ago, but in 2023, 2024, for North Carolina, he put up very good stats as well. 21 points a game, won a ton of accolades, didn't declare for the NBA draft, and now he declared and didn't get drafted, but he's another interesting name to keep an eye on. A very, very good player, but he is also a guard, and he's only 6 foot tall. And like I mentioned, you get those, 6 foot tall, 180-pound guards, and they struggle against 190. They struggle against the physicality of the NBA. There's times where it works, like Jamal Shead and the Raptors. Like he ended up being very, very solid, second-round pick and things like that. But it's going to be interesting, folks. Lakers pull off yet another steal. We have a lot of videos coming. You're going to want to make sure to hit that subscribe button. Another one coming for you tomorrow morning surrounding some very interesting details that have been leaked. But folks, thank you guys for watching. See you later.